The 5.5 quadrillion revolution, how XRP is solving global finance's biggest problem. Picture this. You're scrolling through your crypto portfolio when suddenly you stumble across a number so massive it makes your brain short-circuit. $5.5 quadrillion. That's 15 zeros, and it represents every payment card swipe at Starbucks, every international wire transfer, every stock trade happening across the entire planet right now. Hear me out. Last month, I was deep in research mode, pulling apart institutional reports at 2 a.m. with a triple espresso, when I discovered something that made my jaw hit the floor. The Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, which most people have never even heard of, processes a mind-blowing $3.7 quadrillion annually in securities transactions. During April 2025's market volatility, they cleared intraday volumes exceeding $5.55 trillion in a single day, that's trillion with a T, demonstrating both the colossal scale and the systemic stress of legacy clearing cycles. Now pay close attention, because SWIFT, the backbone connecting 11,000 financial institutions across 200 countries, facilitates approximately $1.25 quadrillion per year in cross-border messaging. But here's the kicker. Despite rapid messaging, actual settlement still crawls along at 2 to 5 business days per transaction. Think about this for a moment. We can beam 4K video to billions of devices instantaneously, yet moving your money between bank accounts feels like sending a telegram via horseback. Let me break down the full picture. MasterCard's network moved $9.757 trillion in transaction volume during 2024, representing an 8% year-over-year surge. Visa processed roughly $16 trillion in payments across fiscal 2024, with Q2 revenue alone hitting $9.6 billion. American Express cardholders spent $1.55 trillion last year, with net income jumping 21% year-over-year. The top 10 U.S. banks combined for $12.9 trillion in assets, while Japanese financial institutions control approximately $17 trillion. And here's where it gets wild. The global derivatives market exceeds $1 quadrillion in notional value, primarily concentrated in interest rate and credit derivatives, demanding instant margining and collateral adjustments. Tokenization platforms are projected to handle over $16 trillion by 2030. Region Red's private settlement network commands an estimated $3 trillion in industry consensus. When you aggregate everything, every wire, every card swipe, every derivative contract, every tokenized asset, you arrive at $5.53 quadrillion flowing annually through antiquated pipes that are literally screaming for modernization. The 3-second solution institutions are quietly adopting. This changes everything. Let me paint you a real-world picture. In Q1 2025, an Asia-Europe remittance corridor trial reported 75% cost savings and 80% faster settlement compared to traditional SWIFT transfers. In Latin America, a consortium of banks achieved sub-5-second settlement for 98% of transactions, revolutionizing micropayments where traditional fees historically exceeded 7%. These aren't hypothetical scenarios. These are documented institutional pilots proving XRP Ledger's consensus protocol achieves transaction settlement finality in approximately 3 to 5 seconds at a cost under 1/10 of a cent per transaction. According to institutional research from the Bank for International Settlements' October 2024 report, real-time gross settlement systems integrated with distributed ledger technology meet 87% of central bank requirements for CBDC infrastructure. Traditional correspondent banking relationships trap enormous pools of capital in pre-funded nostro accounts, imposing working capital inefficiencies that can exceed 60% of transaction costs. IMF working papers reveal that current cross-border payment inefficiencies drain over $120 billion annually from the global economy in fees and lost interest. Lightbulb moment. By mid-2025, over 300 financial institutions across 45 countries had integrated RippleNet, with 40% actively utilizing XRP for on-demand liquidity settlements. Annual ODL transaction volumes surpassed $15 billion in 2024, a 32% increase from the prior year, with Latin America and Asia-Pacific corridors dominating at 56% of total flows. The U.S.-Mexico corridor alone processed $2 billion via Bitso's platform last year. Ripple's on-demand liquidity service already routes liquidity for approximately 90% of global foreign exchange corridors, facilitating cross-border payments in regions where SWIFT systematically fails. That just happened. Institutional adoption operating at planetary scale in the real world right now, while 99% of crypto investors are completely asleep at the wheel. The math that will make you recalculate your portfolio. I'm speechless every time I run these numbers, so grab your calculator and follow along. If XRP captures just 1%, let me repeat, 1% of the $5.53 quadrillion in annual settlement volume, that equates to $55.3 trillion in market capitalization. Dividing by the circulating supply of approximately 58 billion XRP yields a per-token price of $943. And that's the conservative lowball scenario where XRP barely scratches the surface. Now, here's where your mind might actually explode. Scale that penetration to just 10% of global settlement flows, and the market cap balloons to $553 trillion, translating to an XRP price of $9,438. You're probably already calculating whether your current stack is enough. Industry insiders are calling this the bridge asset thesis, XRP functioning as the neutral liquidity layer connecting fiat rails, enabling atomic value transfer without pre-funding, and dramatically reducing counterparty risk inherent in traditional correspondent banking. Remember the 2022 Terra crash when $40 billion evaporated overnight? Here's how regulatory compliance frameworks prevent that nightmare. Basel III compliance standards and prudential regulations increasingly favor assets that enhance liquidity sourcing algorithms and eliminate pre-funded account requirements. XRP's on-demand liquidity model replaces pre-funding entirely. Source currency converts to XRP, settles on ledger in seconds, and reconverts to destination currency instantly, slashing funding requirements by up to 90% compared to traditional pre-funded corridors.
And you guys, I have a special trick for you, which nobody seems to be using, and I cannot wrap my head around why. Because if you sign up through my link down in the description onto the BTCC exchange, you get a 10% deposit bonus. And now stay with me here. Now, here comes the important part. If you have any trading capital on any other exchange and you move it to your newly created BTCC account, you get on top of your capital you moved another 10% extra trading capital. As an example, if you move or deposit 10K to your account, you get 1K for free. And here is why this is possible. BTCC makes money on trading fees. The more capital you have, the more you trade. The more you trade, the more they earn. So they are literally investing in your trading activity by giving you extra capital up front. And unlike other platforms where bonuses are in the 1 to 3% range, BTCC's bonus is a full 10%. I'm not kidding. I really don't understand why nobody is doing this. To me, it really seems like people sometimes are too lazy or just don't like free money. I kindly ask you to pause this video and take your time to make an account. You can thank me later in the description of this video.
The ETF tsunami, 99% approval odds. What you're about to see will shock you. Bloomberg intelligence analysts led by Eric Balchunas elevated the probability of XRP ETF approvals to effectively 100% in late September 2025, citing the SEC's adoption of generic listing standards that rendered older 19B4 filings obsolete. Grayscale, Bitwise, WisdomTree, 21 Shares, Canary Capital, CoinShares, and Franklin Templeton filed amended S1 documents and withdrew delay notices between September 28 and October 1, 2025, signaling that final corporate finance approvals were imminent. Polymarket prediction markets priced XRP ETF approval odds above 99% for decisions due by December 31, 2025. XRPR, the first U.S. spot XRP ETF trading on Cboe BZX, recorded a record-breaking $37.7 million in first-day volume on September 18, 2025, surpassing every prior crypto ETF debut that year by fivefold.
Despite XRPI's more conservative, futures-based structure holding $163 million in assets under management, analysts from CryptoSlate project first-year inflows for XRP spot ETFs between $5 billion and $8 billion under base case scenarios, with bullish forecasts peaking at $10 billion. Comparisons to BlackRock's IBIT Bitcoin ETF, commanding $90.7 billion AUM, and combined Ethereum ETFs at $28 billion AUM, illustrate the scale of institutional capital allocation strategies poised to flow into XRP. Bloomberg Index, the 14.19% validation. This changes everything. XRP's elevation to a 14.19% weighting within the Bloomberg Galaxy Crypto Index in August 2025 underscores its transition from regulatory limbo to institutional-grade digital asset. With Bitcoin and Ethereum each capped at 35%, XRP's ranking ahead of Solana at 7.56% and Cardano at 2.19% reflects a $182.7 billion market cap contribution to the nearly $4 trillion total crypto valuation. Trading volumes preceding inclusion reached $7.5 billion daily, a 32% surge week over week, satisfying BGCI's liquidity depth criteria and reflecting heightened institutional confidence. Machine learning forecasts published in early October 2025 projected mean XRP prices near $3.18, with bullish scenarios peaking at $3.45. Contingent on anticipated approvals of multiple spot XRP ETFs by mid-October regulatory deadlines. At the current total crypto market capitalization near $4 trillion, XRP represents approximately 4.5 to 5% of the ecosystem. Now pay close attention. If spot ETFs receive final approvals, Ripple secures broader banking licenses across key jurisdictions, and additional institutional adoption announcements materialize, XRP's market share could plausibly expand towards 7 to 10% of the entire crypto market. That's potentially doubling or tripling its current proportion, driving massive token velocity and ecosystem investment. Nasdaq's tokenization bombshell and DTCC patents. And here's where it gets wild. Nasdaq CEO Adena Friedman confirmed in September 2025 that the exchange plans to tokenize U.S. equities on blockchain infrastructure, maintaining fungibility and identical material rights with traditional securities. Nasdaq's SEC filing SR-Nasdaq.2025-072 proposed amending rules to permit trading of tokenized securities alongside conventional shares, with settlement instructions flagged for tokenized delivery to the depository trust company for T+1 on-chain transfers. Think about this for a moment. The Depository Trust and Clearing Corporation, which oversees $2.5 quadrillion in annual clearance and settlement, holds patents explicitly referencing the XRP ledger and Stellar Lumens as hierarchical settlement rails. Patent US 2025076-162A1 introduced digital liquidity tokens for programmable market-making functions, naming XRP and XLM as interoperability anchors within a modular bridge architecture supporting 1,500 transactions per second with sub-4-second finality and fees below $0.0001 per transaction. As Nasdaq integrates tokenized shares into core market infrastructure, demand for XRP and XLM as real-time settlement layers will skyrocket. Treasury management solutions utilizing XRP eliminate Nostro account optimization headaches, slashing working capital requirements by up to 90% compared to traditional pre-funded corridors. Altcoin season, the 75 threshold signal. Hear me out. The Altcoin Season Index quantifies capital rotation by tracking the top 50 to 100 non-stablecoin cryptocurrencies over a rolling 90-day window. A score above 75 signals that at least 75% of tracked altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin, marking the onset of alt season. Historically, in late 2024, Bitcoin surged 124%, and by January 2021, the alt season lasted approximately 35 days with average altcoin gains near 500%. The legendary 2017 cycle extended up to 310 days. In mid-September 2025, ASI readings climbed above 75, the highest level since December 2024, triggered by Stellar surging 74% in a single week, Cardano up 23%, and XRP posting a 21% gain. What if your portfolio could ride the next explosive wave? As Bitcoin dominance recedes below 60%, capital reallocates into higher beta assets, creating life-changing opportunities. Closing call to action. If this deep dive into the infrastructure reshaping digital finance blew your mind, smash that like button until it glows, subscribe so you never miss our next institutional analysis, and ring the notification bell because we're living through the greatest wealth transfer in human history. Drop your bold price predictions below. Are you loading up on XRP, XLM, ADA, or HBAR ahead of the next alt season? What's your personal target? Let's discuss strategy in the comments. Stay sharp, stay informed, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.